in our opinion, there are 5 key product management profiles that you see in different companies. The first one is what we like to call the engineering product manager. We define it as someone who's transitioned from an engineering role to a PM role. Now, usually people who've transitioned from an engineering to a PM role are obviously very strong on the technical side of things. They find it very easy to work with the engineering team, gain respect of the engineering team, and also really think deeply about technical solutions to the problems that come up. That obviously is the first and foremost definition of a PM. So in that sense, it's a very strong background to have. However, if you've transitioned from an engineering to a PM role, things that you need to be careful about are that you are now transitioning from being an individual contributor to a team player. So really keeping that bigger picture and the user in mind is going to be very, very important, that probably you laid less emphasis on when you were an engineer. The second type of product manager is someone we define as a design product manager. It's someone who's transitioning from a design role into a PM role. Naturally, the strengths of this person are great understanding of the user experience, able to come up with really delightful product solutions for the users, and be really able to think deeply about the user's problems. Some of the things and skills that you really need to be careful about if you're transitioning from a designer to a product manager are again the ability to think about the business in general, right? The third type is what we call a business product manager. It's people who've had business experience, have an MBA background, and are now transitioning into a product manager role. This is becoming fairly common nowadays. Now, obviously, the strengths that you bring to the table are, the ability to see the bigger picture, the ability to see how, your product decisions are impacting the business, being able to communicate, interact with different internal and external stakeholders, and really being able to manage all the different teams that you're working with. The thing that you've got to be most careful about when you're transitioning from a business and to a product role is really that eye for detail, right? A mistake a lot of people making this transition make is that they believe that the role of the product manager is communicating requirements and then just letting all the teams do the job. That's a big trap to fall into. I think as a PM, your ultimate responsibility is actually getting the product shipped. So you really need to be on top of what all different teams are doing in order to meet that timeline that we're shipping the right product to the users. The fourth role is what we call a data product manager. It's someone who's had strong analytical skills. Maybe you're coming from a BI background, even in some cases from a pure analytics background, a consulting background, and you're now moving into product management roles. Right? The skills that you obviously bring to the table are strong analytics, being data driven, being able to break down a problem into smaller chunks and be able to tackle those different chunks to kind of solve the bigger problem. That's great. The things that you need to be really careful about is too much reliance on data. As an aspiring PM, this may seem counterintuitive, but I think the best product managers are the ones who are really able to gain insights from the data, but able to add their own intuition or slight amount of gut, to coming up with the right solution. The fifth kind of role is what we call as the growth product manager. Is someone who's sort of been involved in growth at different stages of a company or a product. Right now also you're involved in building parts of the product that are really focused on growth. So obviously your strengths are, being very strong analytically, being able to take quick decisions, coming up with creative solutions to really move the metrics. So you're really data driven, analytical, sort of quick thinker on your feet. The things that if you were sort of in that role or you're coming from that background, the thing that you have to really keep in mind is not abandoning a product after launch. Like people, especially in growth roles, make this mistake because they're very quickly kind of churning out new hacks, is that they launch something and then let them be. As a good PM, large part of your job is also to set the long-term vision of that product beyond the first launch. Like what is your strategy going to be to launch the V2, the V3? What is the rollout plan? What is the information that you need from the users or the data that you need to look at after the first launch to be able to make those decisions about the about the next stage of that product evolution.